71 years old, healthy, independent, sharp mind, strong heart. Yesterday, he laughed with his granddaughter, walked to the mailbox, made himself dinner, his favorite, chicken and rice, and then he went to sleep. He never opened his eyes again. There was no pain, no gasp, no final moment of awareness, just gone. His wife thought he was still sleeping, until she noticed the silence. No breath, no heartbeat, no movement. He didn't suffer, but that didn't make it any easier to accept. And what's worse, it may not have been random. It may not have been natural. Because the truth is, after 60 small evening habits, things we ignore every single night can quietly build into deadly pressure inside the body. And when that pressure finally breaks, it doesn't always give a warning. Tonight, we'll walk through what really happens in the body after dark. The habits that put you at risk, and what to change, starting today. Not tomorrow. Not next week, tonight. Because that man, he wasn't careless, he wasn't sick. He was just unaware. And so are millions of others. You close your eyes, you think your body is resting, but inside, something else is happening. Your heartbeat slows, your blood pressure drops. Your body begins shifting into repair mode. But if you're over 60, that shift isn't always smooth anymore. The systems that once adjusted without effort now move slower. Your heart needs more time to regulate. Your brain needs more oxygen to recover. And your blood vessels? They're no longer as elastic. They react differently to pressure, temperature, even how you breathe. Now imagine this. You've eaten a heavy dinner at 8 p.m. You had a glass of juice at 9. You feel full, a little tired. So you lie down, but what your body feels is completely different. Your stomach starts digesting while it should be winding down. Your blood sugar rises, then crashes. Your bladder fills. Your airways narrow, and your heart is forced to stay active long after you've fallen asleep. This is the moment when small risks become dangerous. Because after 60, your body doesn't recover from imbalance the way it used to. It doesn't warn you with pain or heat or dizziness. It just shifts quietly into danger. A small pressure spike becomes a heart rhythm problem. A restless night becomes a drop in blood oxygen. A full stomach becomes silent reflux, which becomes disrupted sleep, which becomes cardiac strain. That's how it happens. That's how people go to bed feeling fine and never wake up. And here's the part most never hear. You don't need a disease to die in your sleep. You only need one habit, repeated too often, with no correction. So if you're thinking, but I feel fine, know this. Most of them did too. In the next part, I'll show you the first habit that turns this silent risk into a ticking bomb, and how to reverse it starting tonight. It was the same every night. He'd eat around 8. Nothing fancy, just a full plate, maybe some pasta, a piece of bread, a bit of dessert if there was still something sweet in the fridge. He'd watch TV for a while, then head to bed. He thought it helped him sleep. He thought going to bed on a full stomach felt comforting, like routine. But what he didn't know was that the food stayed more active than he did. As he drifted off, his stomach was just getting started. Acid rising, muscles churning, blood flow shifting to the gut, when it should have been going to his brain and heart for repair. He had no idea that digestion like this keeps the body from entering deep sleep. No idea that the acid creeping up his esophagus was irritating more than just his throat. And when the burning sensation woke him at 1:43 am, he sat up, took a sip of water, and told himself it was just heartburn. It wasn't that pressure, that tightness. It was his heart telling him it couldn't keep up anymore. Doctors later found signs of nighttime hypertension and oxygen desaturation, both made worse by large meals too late in the evening. After 60, digestion slows. The stomach empties more slowly. Blood sugar stays higher, longer, and your heart works overtime just to keep things balanced. A full meal before bed forces your body into a night shift, when it should be in recovery mode. You don't feel it right away. That's what makes it dangerous. The damage builds quietly, and one night, without warning, it tips over. That's how it happens. Not because of one big mistake, but because of the little ones, repeated too many times. And sadly, too many people never connect the dots until it's too late. Stay with me, because the next habit is even more common. And it often begins with something as simple as a glass of water. He always made sure to stay hydrated. 2 full glasses of water before bed, just like his doctor had told him years ago. It felt like the healthy thing to do, clean, responsible. Like checking one more box before calling it a day. But at 2:11 a.m., he woke up with an urgent pressure in his bladder, nothing unusual. He'd done this 100 times before. He sat up, reached for the lamp, and shuffled to the edge of the bed. The room was dark, his legs felt a little stiff. But he told himself, just get to the bathroom. He stood up, and the world shifted sideways. Just for a second, just enough. His blood pressure hadn't caught up with his body. The sudden movement from lying to standing caused a sharp drop, a phenomenon called postural hypotension. His knees buckled. His hand reached for the wall. But there was nothing there. He hit the floor hard. Later in the they confirmed it. No stroke, no heart attack, just a fall. A bad one, cracked ribs, bruised hip, a deep cut above his eyebrow. And it all began with that extra glass of water before bed. It's something most people don't think twice about. But after 60, your bladder holds less, your kidneys work differently, and your brain is lighter in sleep, easily confused by light, movement, or sudden physical stress. Every nighttime trip to the bathroom becomes a risk, not just for your sleep, but for your safety. And it's not just the fall, it's what comes after. Fractures, hospital stays, loss of confidence, isolation. And for many older adults, it's the beginning of the end of independence. All because of one habit that seemed healthy. One routine that no one questioned. You don't need to stop drinking water. You just need to shift when. Hydrate through the day. Slow down by late afternoon. Take small sips in the evening, not full glasses. And pay attention to hidden sources. Soups, fruits, even certain medications. Because your body still needs water. It just doesn't need it when you're trying to sleep. He liked it warm, always had, even in summer. He kept a blanket at the foot of the bed, just in case the air felt too sharp. At 74, comfort mattered. He didn't want to feel cold at night. Didn't want to wake up with aching joints or stiff hands. So he turned the thermostat to 75, closed the windows, piled on the blankets, and slept. Or he thought he did, because night after night, he woke up drenched in sweat, his pillow damp, his heartbeat strange, just a little too fast. He assumed it was age, or maybe the dreams. He never guessed it was his room, fighting against his heart. Here's what no one tells you. As we age, our bodies lose the ability to regulate temperature. We sweat less. Our blood doesn't circulate heat as effectively. And during sleep, the body is supposed to cool down to repair organs, reset blood vessels, and allow the heart to rest. But in a room that's too warm, the opposite happens. Your heart stays active, trying to push heat out of your core. Your blood thickens from mild dehydration. You shift in and out of sleep, never reaching the deep stages where your brain and body truly recover. And when that goes on night after night, it builds, slowly, quietly, until one morning you wake up with a headache, or not at all. Studies show that seniors who sleep in overly warm environments have higher rates of cardiovascular strain, weakened immune response, and even increased nighttime mortality, and most never know why. Not because it felt wrong, but because it felt comfortable. And that's the danger. The things that feel safe are often the ones we question last. The change didn't happen all at once. At first, it was just a thought. Maybe it didn't need to be so warm. Maybe the sweat, the restless nights, the foggy mornings weren't just aging after all. So one evening, he turned the thermostat down. Just 3 degrees, nothing dramatic. He opened the window a crack. Not enough to make it cold, just enough to let the room breathe. He swapped the thick synthetic blanket for a lighter, cotton one. Traded his fleece pajamas for a simple t-shirt. Set a small fan near the bed, low, steady, quiet. That night, he slept. Not perfectly, not like a miracle, but deeper, quieter, more complete. He didn't wake up at 2 a.m. with his chest pounding. Didn't toss the covers off halfway through the night. Didn't wake up needing to sit upright just to catch his breath. Instead, he opened his eyes at sunrise. No headache. No dizziness. Just a calm he hadn't felt in years. And slowly, it became routine. A cooler room, lighter clothes, air that moved. No more fighting against his own biology. No more tricking his body into thinking it was still daytime. Just sleep, the way it was always meant to be. And with that small change, other things started to shift too. His blood pressure eased, his heart rate normalized, his mornings felt clearer. Because sometimes the most powerful health decisions aren't made in a hospital, they're made in a quiet room, with a dial, a window, and the willingness to change. He didn't snore, at least not loudly, but his wife had noticed it before, the strange rhythm in his breathing at night. The way he would sometimes stop, just for a second, silent, still, then suddenly gasp and shift, she asked him once. He waved it off. I'm just getting older. But the truth was, it wasn't his age, it was how he slept. Flat on his back, arms by his sides, head low, mouth slightly open. For decades, it had felt natural. Comfortable. But after 60, the body changes. The throat muscles relax more. The tongue falls back, airways narrow. And when you sleep flat on your back, gravity does the rest. It presses everything downward. Into your lungs, into your heart, into the pathways meant to stay open. He didn't feel pain, didn't feel danger. But his oxygen levels were dropping at night. His heart was beating harder to compensate. And his brain was receiving less of what it needed to rest and repair. That's why the mornings felt so foggy. Why he sometimes had headaches he couldn't explain. Why he began forgetting names and small things that used to come easy. Not because of dementia, not because of stress, but because his body was slowly suffocating itself, one night at a time. And he wasn't alone. Studies show that thousands of seniors suffer from undiagnosed sleep apnea and positional airway restriction, simply because they sleep in a way that once worked, but no longer does. The danger isn't dramatic. It's invisible. But the toll it takes is real, and it builds. Every night you sleep the wrong way is one more night your body is forced to fight itself in silence. It started with a pillow. Not a special one, not expensive. Just something firm enough to support his head, and just high enough to tilt him slightly to the side. He didn't change his whole bed. Didn't buy machines or make appointments. He simply stopped sleeping flat. The first night felt strange. He kept rolling back. His body wanted to return to old habits. Habits that had formed over decades. But something inside him whispered, "Try again." So the next night, he placed another pillow behind his back. Not too tight, just enough to keep him leaning. He slid a smaller cushion between his knees to ease the tension in his hips. Adjusted the blanket, closed his eyes. And that night, something was different. His chest didn't feel as tight. His breathing stayed soft, even. He didn't wake up gasping, or sweating, or choking on silence. He slept deeper. longer, and when he opened his eyes in the morning, the fog wasn't there. It was small, simple, but powerful. Sleeping on his left side had changed more than his posture. It changed his circulation, his oxygen flow, the way his heart moved blood through the night. No more pressure on the lungs, no more weight collapsing the throat, no more quiet struggle beneath the surface. His wife noticed it too. "You didn't make a sound last night," she said. He smiled, but didn't say anything. Because for the first time in years, he didn't feel like his body was fighting to stay alive while he slept. And once you feel that difference, you never want to go back. It started with names, nothing serious, just small lapses. He'd forget the name of a neighbor, or walk into a room and wonder why he came. His wife laughed it off. "We're both getting older," she said. It's normal, and maybe it was. But something about it felt different. The fog wasn't just in the morning anymore. It stayed. It followed him. He'd lose track of conversations, struggle with simple words, feel distant. His doctor said it might be early cognitive decline, recommended puzzles, more water, less stress. No one asked how he slept. No one asked how he lay in bed. Because no one talks about that part. About how circulation affects the brain. About how the wrong position at night can slow the flow of oxygen, not just to the heart, but to the mind. When he finally mentioned the snoring, the morning headaches, the way he sometimes woke up with dry mouth and a racing pulse, they tested his sleep. And what they found was silent, but serious. His oxygen levels dipped while he slept on his back. His heart rate surged to keep up. His brain, night after night, was receiving just a little less than it needed. And over time, a little becomes a lot. Every drop in oxygen, every spike in pressure, every moment of disrupted rest was carving away at his clarity. Not enough to notice at first, not enough to panic, but just enough to dull the edge, to dim the light. And the fix? It wasn't a pill. It wasn't therapy. It was a pillow, a position, a decision to sleep differently, to let the brain rest, fully, freely, the way it was designed to. He stopped going to the garden, didn't touch his crossword puzzle anymore, stopped calling his grandson back. He wasn't angry, wasn't sad, just distant. His family noticed. He used to laugh louder, used to tell long stories at dinner. Now he just nodded, listened, and went to bed early. They thought it was depression, maybe even early dementia. The doctor prescribed a low-dose antidepressant. It didn't help. Because no one looked at the nights. No one asked why he woke up tired every morning, why his hands trembled when he held a cup, why he sometimes lost his balance or his patience. They didn't see the shallow breathing, the restless shifting, the heart that never fully calmed down during sleep. They only saw the result. A man who was once full of life, now moving slower, quieter, as if someone had dimmed the lights inside him. But here's the truth no one tells enough. Poor sleep can mimic everything we fear most about aging: confusion, mood swings, fatigue, forgetfulness, even hopelessness. And when night after night the body is robbed of real rest, it's not just the heart that suffers. The brain begins to drift. The soul begins to shrink. And what breaks most is the part of a person that isn't measured in charts: joy, connection, desire. But it doesn't have to stay that way, because when sleep returns, real sleep, deep and undisturbed, so does everything else. The garden, the laughter, the spark in the eyes. You don't need a new brain. You don't need more pills. Sometimes you just need a better night. It's never just one thing. No one dies from a late dinner, or a warm bedroom, or the way they lie in bed. Not once. But over time, that's how it begins. A heavy meal here, an extra glass of water there, a restless night, a racing heartbeat, a foggy morning that fades into routine. And slowly, your body starts carrying more weight than you see. Not pounds, but pressure on the heart, on the brain, on the systems that keep you alive in silence. Because the danger in aging isn't in the loud moments, it's in the quiet ones. The ones we don't notice, the skipped breath, the third time you woke up to pee, the strange dream that left you sweating at 3 a.m. Alone, they mean nothing, but together, they create a rhythm, a pattern your body can't keep up with forever. And most people only realize it when something breaks, a fall, a scare, a hospital stay that begins with "we just want to run some tests." But by then, it's no longer about prevention. It's about recovery. And recovery is harder. Not impossible, but harder. And it doesn't have to reach that point, because the body gives us whispers long before it screams. You just have to listen, to notice the pattern, to stop calling it just getting older, to understand that every small change, made now, can stop the slow unraveling before it begins. Every night, your body tries to heal. That's what sleep is, not just rest, but repair. It lowers your blood pressure, cleans your brain of waste, rebuilds tissue, strengthens your immune system, balances your hormones, and lets your heart finally slow down. It's a miracle, really. One we don't feel, but that keeps us alive. But here's the part most people don't see. This only works if you give the body what it needs, and most people over 60 don't. Instead of going to bed gently, they go to bed full, or dehydrated, or hot, or lying in a position that blocks their lungs. And so instead of healing, the body starts surviving. It shifts into defense. Blood pressure goes up. Digestion continues. The brain stays on edge. The heart works harder. The system that's supposed to rebuild now fights to stay stable. And when that happens night after night, what doesn't heal starts to break. The ache in the knee that won't go away. The fog in the mind that slowly thickens. The exhaustion that sleep no longer fixes. It's not aging. Not always. Sometimes. It's interrupted repair. Over and over again. Until the body forgets how to finish what it starts. But the good news, the moment you remove the block, the body remembers. It doesn't need perfection. It just needs space and stillness and the chance to do what it was built to do all along. He didn't plan to change his life that night. He didn't sit down with a checklist, didn't read a book, didn't decide to be better. He was just tired. Not the kind of tired you fix with a nap, the kind that sits behind your eyes and your bones, in the way you stop looking forward to tomorrow. So he did one thing. He made dinner earlier, nothing heavy, just soup and toast. He skipped the late glass of juice, took small sips of water, then stopped. He turned the thermostat down 2 degrees, opened the window just a little, laid out lighter blankets, turned off the overhead light and used a lamp instead. Then, he turned on soft music and sat for 5 minutes, doing nothing. No phone, no news, no thinking about the next day, just stillness. When he climbed into bed, he placed the pillow behind his back, shifted gently to his left side, closed his eyes, and let the silence come. He didn't expect anything, didn't chase sleep. He just gave his body the space to rest. And that night, he slept like he hadn't in years, not because he followed rules, not because he made a plan, but because he stopped fighting what his body had been asking for, quietly, for far too long. He never thought these things mattered. Dinner time, room temperature, the position of a pillow, they seemed small. Too small to change anything important. But now, he sees it differently. He feels it in the mornings, in the calm in his chest, in the way his hands don't shake when he pours coffee, in the way his mind feels clear. He doesn't wake up searching for breath, doesn't sit on the edge of the bed waiting for the dizziness to pass. He simply wakes up, stands up, and walks forward. It's not dramatic, not a miracle, just steady, peaceful. And for the first time in a long time, he feels like his nights are giving back, instead of taking more away. And maybe that's what we're all missing. Not a new medication, not another test, but the chance to rest the way we were meant to sleep without interruption, to heal without interference, to wake up with the quiet knowledge that our body is not falling apart. It's recovering. And it all begins with noticing, with listening, with asking, what if I've been doing this wrong all along and didn't even know? So now it's your turn, not to change everything, not to panic, just to notice. What time do you eat? What do you drink after dark? How warm is your bedroom? How do you sleep really? Tonight, try changing just one thing. Make dinner a little earlier. Turn the thermostat down. Lay on your left side. Turn off the news and listen to silence instead. Let your body rest. Not survive, rest. And if you felt something in this video, if you saw a piece of yourself or someone you love, then don't let it stop here. Leave a comment. Tell me what you'll try tonight. Share this with someone who still says, I sleep fine, but wakes up exhausted. And if you want more stories like this, built to help you live longer, feel stronger, and sleep deeper, subscribe, because we're just getting started. And I'd like you here for the next one. Good night, and take care.